All right, today in this little video, we're going to be talking about the training tracks and the acting company officer program, where we're at, what the requirements are going to be, and where we're going with it. This has been very confused as we've gone through this, and the reason for that is we just did a bad job rolling it out and explaining it. So hopefully this video is going to do it. We've worked with all the battalion chiefs. They're on board with where we're at. Chief Walker was instrumental in writing where we're at with this process and the putting them in a form that people know and will be able to understand. So hopefully they'll be in a position to help you answer questions before. Now, one of the questions I had received was, okay, if we're not using training tracks, then why are we applying them to the ACOs? And the reason that they were being applied to the ACOs is really just we confused it with it. The ACOs are going to be required to have the same thing that lieutenants have in the long run. They are required to have the same thing that lieutenants have today, which really isn't much except breathing and having a pulse and going to a firefighter 2 class. But I'll go through all those as we go through this. But over the years, this is going to be growing. One of the complaints is that the bar keeps moving. People don't understand it. So what we've done here is we've laid out the next 5 years of exactly where the bar is going to be on each position, and that's posted in the training tracks matrix, which is going to be posted on group site after we get this video up. The other part of that you have to understand is this is going to be tied to career development program, and the idea of a career development program is to keep people learning, to give them incentives to keep growing, to give them reasons to keep taking classes and to get better and better until they reach mastery of their job. And, mastery of our job is a very difficult thing to do. You can work in this field like I have for, 37, 38 years now and still not achieve mastery. I think I'm pretty good at what I do, but I wouldn't say I've achieved mastery of it. I learn something new every day I come to work, and I'm always looking for those opportunities, and I hope that each one of y'all will view these training tracks as that kind of thing, an organized process to be always getting better until you reach mastery. And the other thing is that it will be an opportunity that will be tied to pay and performance as we move forward in it. So it's going to be real important for people to take part in this. And the last part that I just have to address is it's negative, and I actually hate to address it. But one of the battalion chiefs said to us, well, they're not gonna go to the class, and then you're gonna end up promoting them without the qualifications. And I hope nobody's dumb enough to have a bluff like that, because we're gonna promote people that meet the minimum qualifications. And if we have to go outside to find those, we'll go outside. I don't want to do that. I think there are people in here that will take the classes. There are people in here that are motivated. There are people in here that are smart and can be great, and I want them to take advantage of this program. So with that said, let's jump right into the training tracks. And if you'll notice here, you'll see that all of these training tracks have different target dates of when we're going to be at the different positions over the next 5 years, where we're going to be with what are the requirements for these. And you'll also see that this one is the ACO and the lieutenant, which is going to be exactly the same. Now today, like I told you, there was confusion on this, and we haven't done a good job of explaining it. So what you have to have here is 5 years of fire rescue experience. 3 years of that has to be with Horry County Fire Rescue. You've got to have National Register EMT, EMTA, EMTP, one of the EMT ones to be currently in there. You have to have the NIMS 100, 200, 700, and 800 for the fire service. You have to have a minimum evaluation score of 3.25 or better. And you can't have a DA or been demoted in the last 12 months from it as far as a disciplinary action. That, in addition to that, all you have to have is the IFSAC Firefighter 2. So the requirements today are no different than they were yesterday. And we applied by mistake the end requirements, and that's my fault. I'll take the blame for that. I didn't communicate well where I was going, and what we did is we got ahead of ourselves. So we made the mistake of when we evaluated these, and I sent out the thing that said that nobody met them, of looking at them down here, and that's not where we are yet. We're only back here at June 1, 2014. So again, the ACO and lieutenant requirements right now today are 5 years of total experience. 3 years of that's got to be with us. You got to have your EMT, EMTA, EMTE, EMTI, EMTP, one of the EMT flavors. You got to have your NIMS courses that are required, the 1, 2, 7, and 8 in it. You have to have a minimum evaluation score of 3.5 or better. And you have to have no DAs or no demotions in the last 12 months. So when we said nobody met it, we couldn't, a while back in the staff notes and got everybody up in arms, we couldn't have been more wrong. Probably almost everybody that applied meet those minimum qualifications. Now, next year is when we're going to start ramping up. So when we do this again next year, when we get to April 1, 2015, you got to have 5 years of fire rescue experience. You got to have 3 with HCFR. None of that changed. None of the NIMS changes. None of the evaluation scores of the DA changes. Nothing down to firefighter 2. But you'll see here is where we start adding the other classes that over the next few years people are going to need to take if they want to be an ACO or a lieutenant. And you'll see each year they build. So by April 1 of next year, if you want to be in this, and this is going to apply to current people too, if you're in these positions or you want to be in these positions, you've got to pick up Instructor 1, Building Construction, and we accept our HCFR 1, is Fire Officer 1, and Safety Officer. If you want to be an officer in this department in the next year, you've got to get these classes. We're going to offer them. They'll be easily available, but if you're an existing officer or you're a officer, you're a person that wants to ascend to be an officer, you're going to have to do that. By 2016, you then add in the MICTO, PICTO, DEMCO, STICCO, and the Horry County Supervisor 1 class. That'll be for all existing and for anybody that, is coming up at that time where they have the experience and want to look at being an acting company officer or being promoted to a company officer. In 2017, you see we add down here the Intro to Fire Emergency Management, English 101, and Fireground Simulation. In 2018, you'll see that we add public speaking in it as required. And then in 19, increasing personal effectiveness and increasing team effectiveness comes in to be required. Now, this spreadsheet's going to be on group site, and it's got all the positions. Captains, you'll see the same thing. It adds up as we're going through in there. Battalion chief, you will see the same thing. It adds as we're going through each year that there are more and more classes that they need to take. Then there's a rescue track. And let me tell you why these tracks are here. These tracks are here because the way the career development program is going to work, which will roll out sometime in the next year, is that there will be steps. There'll be like 4 or 5 firefighter steps. So that you can spend your career here as a firefighter if you want to and never be stagnant, still be learning. And to reach the top step of firefighter, and each one of these steps will have pay attached to it, but to reach the top step of firefighter, which will be called Master Firefighter, you have to have a specialty track. So you can have rescue, hazmat, wildfire, water rescue, boat operations. You can be an instructor, an RSI medic, a fire investigation track, fire marshal track, or just a plain firefighter track. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that you have the opportunity to follow the different tracks that you want to become specialist in an area of interest, something that gets your juice going. So, for example, we'll pull up here the rescue corps track. You'll see here we've got the minimums that run across that are in place right now for April 14, which is the awareness level. Then in April of 2050, if you want to get to the operations level, the technician level, or the officer level, you'll see there are things added in those tracks. Hazmat, same way. We've got awareness operations technician and enhancements. Wildfire, you'll see it's the same way for a wildfire fighter, fire and a rescue. Water rescue, we've got them all listed out for you. So if you choose any of these kind of specialties that you want to do, and in the long run, it's going to be important if you want to be assigned at a station with these things for you to have these specialties, then you'll follow one of these tracks here. If you want to go to ACO or lieutenant or a captain or a battalion chief, you'll follow one of those tracks to make sure you get it. Now you can do both. You can do battalion and hazmat if that's what interests you. You can do battalion, you can be on the battalion track and be boat operations if that's what you like. But you have to meet everything along this stair-step plan to get you to the level of the officer that you want to attain, or to the level of specialty that you want to attain. And there is nothing wrong with being a firefighter all your life and growing in the job as a firefighter and ending up being a master firefighter. Those are going to be some of the most valued positions in the end. And like I say, each one of those, when you see the career development program roll out, you will see you have to have one of these specialties that I'm clicking through really fast right now. So we're not going to limit you to what classes you take, but what we're going to do is the money we have and the resources we have, we're going to plow into what we're saying are the core requirements. So we're like, for example, if you choose a rescue track and you ask for a boat operators class, well, we're going to give the guy in the rescue track that asks for confined space entry the slot in the class before we give the hazmat guy the boat class. We're going to give the boat guy who's chosen that track the docking skills class before we give that to somebody that chose the hazmat track. Now, there is nothing saying in the world that says you can't take both if you want to, but what I'm trying to explain is I have a limited amount of money, a limited amount of time off, a limited amount of time I can detail people and still keep the trucks on the road answering calls every day. So what we're going to do is, with our limited amount of resources, we're going to take whatever you choose as your specialty, and we're going to give those slots away first and use those on that for those people. Those that are going for ACO and lieutenant, the first classes we would approve for you and pay anything for you would be these three right here to get you ready for next year: Instructor 1, Fire Officer 1, and Safety Officer. Okay? So if you are wanting to be an ACO and you say, well, I really would like to take a fire investigations class, we'll say, great, take it. But understand, I can only right now, because of the limitations I have, I can only work with time off and pay and the little bit of money I have to get you these three things that I know you need desperately right now to be able to get to the next level in your career process. Everything in life is a process. Everything needs to be planned, and that's all this is to you. So, like I said, you can take those other classes. We're not going to limit you, but we're going to use our money and our resources to make sure you get the ones that are in the core of what you have to do to meet the minimum requirements so that we can grow as an organization. And what's important for everybody to understand is that this is a thought out process where we actually have a strategy of where we're taking Horry County Fire Rescue. We're not shooting from the hip, and we're not denying from the hip, and we're not telling you. We know that for the things we want to achieve over the next 5 years for this department, we need to get people to this level by 2019. We need to get our company officers to the April 1st, 2019 core requirements if you're going to be a captain right here. Now, then we have enhancements over here, and these are things that will help you. And then if we have money left over, time left over, or whatever, we're going to certainly support you in doing that, because we recognize that these right here on these enhancements side help you in addition to what you've got here. So That's the way the tracks work. That's what we are tying them into, and that's where we're going with everything we're moving forward. I hope that this is a help to you. I encourage you to talk to either me or your battalion chief first, hopefully. But if they can't answer it, feel free to talk to me or to Doug Klein or anybody else in the chain, to get your questions answered and to know where you move forward from here. Like I say, this will be posted on group site today, which is April 17th, and I hope you have a great day.